खुशबू तेरा जीवो है नहीं जीवो की।
Yeah. So as we were discussing, there are three stages inside mold design. We have uh, we have the initial stage, that is the injection stage, okay, where the material goes into the mold, and it can be different form of plastic material. Generally, we are right now considering plastic injection mold design. Then we have cooling stage, where the product get cooled down. Okay, when the product is cooled inside the art inside the mold itself to get a proper shape. And then we have the ejection stage, wherein the material comes out in a form of a product. Okay, so it gets the proper shape and it comes out in a form of a product. Now basically in these three stages, okay, there are multiple things we have to design. For example, considering the injection stage, first of all, in injection stage we have to design the screw bush, that is the object using which the material is going to flow inside the mold, screw push, and as well as runners. We also have to design the locating ring for locating the injection of the injection molding machine onto the mold. Then we also have to design the core cavity and other basic stuff, okay, and all the other mold base and everything. So that comprises of the injection stage. Then after the injection stages design is completed, okay, we have to also concentrate on designing the cooling stage. Now, cooling stage generally contains several holes, okay, in order to get a, and we have cooling channels generally, what we say, with certain informations like there are nozzles and there are plugs at every end so that the cooling can be done effectively. Okay, then after the cooling stage is completed, then we also have to continue with the next stage, that is the ejection stage, in which ejector pin, lifters, sliders, and all other complex mechanical parts are included in those ejection stage. So basically, what happens is traditionally for creating a mold design of any particular component. For example, here I have a cover, a very simple plastic cover. And normally for creating a mold design of this kind of component takes a lot of time, only because there are a lot many openings here. The side profiles is quite, in this particular model, the side profile is quite okay, but there can be a condition where there are a lot of opening and you have to create core and cavity for this. And the most time consuming part in this kind of model is actually generating core and cavity of this particular product. Okay, now, and second thing, after generating the core and cavity also, then you have to create the entire mold base around it, and that should be a part of an assembly in most places. But normally what we do is we create that in a single part file. So it creates a lot of problem in order to modify, in order to maintain the part size and everything. Now, as we can see, we have this particular component here, okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go through the entire process of creating a mold out of this, and we are going to create a multi-cavity mold, not a single cavity one, so that we can also understand the importance of runner, gate, and other applications which we have inside the software. And I'll try to actually show as much as possibilities what we have inside this particular software. So starting with the initial thing, the first thing what we do is generally the product what we have, like this is a kind of product what I have. So what I recommend to do is whenever we start with a new product, okay, I require to do cleanup on the geometry. Now it can be because of the, you know, the client has made the product in some other software and they have give it to us. So what I prefer to do is I prefer to create some sort of basic check on the geometry, okay, so that I can understand whether the geometry contain any faulty areas or not. For example, there are sometimes very small tiny faces are there on the geometry, which creates a problem later on in the machining stage of core and cavity. So all those things can be really taken care of in the initial part itself. So when we start with mold design, the first thing we have, like what we can do in this particular software is we can do a basic check on the geometry and we can do a basic cleanup of the geometry, which is very important. And it can be for both the geometries. It can be for the geometry which is created in NX, and it can be for the geometry which is not created in NX. Okay, so both the kind of geometries can be cleaned up. Okay, now let's say for example we have this particular geometry and we have cleaned up this particular geometry. Now cleaned up in the sense there are a lot of like faces which were not required in this particular area. So we have already cleaned up a lot of geometries here. So after cleaning up the geometry, the next thing what we have to do is we have to continue with the creation of mold of this particular part. Now basically this part is very simple in order to understand the core cavity abstraction part of it. Okay, so basically core cavity can be easily taken care of, like for this particular model. But coming to the mold base and coming to the remaining part of the model, that is ejection part, then cooling part and all sort of thing. So it should not take much time, like we only have limited time to spare. So I want to continue with this particular model in order to give you guys a proper understanding about how effective the mold wizard is. Now, normally for this kind of article, in practical world, it takes somewhere around 1 to 2 days, okay, to generate the complete mold design of this article, a functioning mold design of this particular article. Okay, especially if it is a multi-cavity article, let's say not single cavity, not only one cavity, let's say it's a two-cavity article, then it takes a day or two sometimes, based on the efficiency of the designer itself, to generate the proper mold design for this particular article with all the different components of the mold. Now, if you are aware about mold, mold had lot many components, a lot of accessories are there, many things are there inside mold, coolings are there, many parts are included inside mold. So I'll just save this file for now in the correct state. So I'll just save this file. Now my file name is article and I want to continue with the mold design of this article. So what I'll do is first I'll close all the background parts if there are any, and then I'll start with my product. Okay, so all the basic cleanup and everything has been taken care of. Now what I'll do is I'll go to application. I'll make sure I have mold wizard started. Now mold wizard application in NX. Okay, it's a very simple application, or we can say it's a very user friendly application. Okay, in which you can design, or you have, like, you can use different form of tools in order to do your work in a more effective and faster way. So for example, let's say starting with how to initialize a project. So when we initialize a project inside NX, so here we can decide which material we have to choose, like which of the material we have to select. So for example, our component is, if it is made up of ABS, we can select ABS or PPO or PS or PC, or if you want to add any of my material, so I can also edit the material database here, and we can actually add any more material if required. Now what happens when we choose a material? It automatically applies the value for shrinkage. So error which can be created by a designer of not applying a shrinkage at the correct point of time inside the mold can be automatically solved here. The best part is later on also we can apply a shrinkage as and when required. Okay, we have a separate shrinkage tool using which we can also, at the, let's say after completing the entire mold design, if you want to add a shrinkage, definitely you can do that. Okay, so here that can be easily done. Now here I'm designing where the parts of the file should be and other default parameters. For example, if I want to write what is the name of the designer, what is the project number and all sort of information, and I want to rename all the components of the project, and I want my project to be created in millimeters. So I'm just selecting millimeters here and I'm clicking OK. Now, in this case, what I can do is, let's say I'm getting the name article in before everything. So what I can do, I can just remove that project name from here, and I want my numberings to start from 0, 1. And here I can define a proper name. So I can just set everything up and I can click OK. And now my project is initiated. Now, what is the meaning of initiation a project with? That means you are ready to create mold design. And the software will automatically take care of the remaining assemblies and everything of this particular product, okay, in order to create the mold design. Okay, so what software will do is, in the background, software has already created some sort of part. For example, there is a top part, article part, and there are various other parts which will be created in the while. The first thing you have to take care is, we can see the coordinate system of the part is not in the correct location, and that can happen for most of the cases. Like whenever we import a part or whenever we start a new part, we are not creating the part with respect to like whether we are going to create a mold out of it or not. So based on certain components, we might have to change the location of the coordinate system, and that can be easily done inside an X. So the initial part is, let's say I want to change the location of my coordinate system. I don't want to lock my X, Y, or Z position, and I want to place it in the center of a selected face. So I can just simply click on a face and I can place it in the center of the selected face. Even we have options like we can place it in the center of the selected body, or if I have an existing coordinate system, I can definitely go ahead and select my existing coordinate system. And if I want to do advanced modifications to this, we can just simply double click and we can decide in which direction the X should point, in which direction the Y should point, okay, and all other basic information, so that our mold layout will be correct, because mold length is calculated with respect to X and width is calculated with respect to Y. So we have to consider all those basic inputs as well. Now, let's say we have this particular article ready. Okay, so we have even the location of the article and the location of the coordinate system and everything is correct. Now, next thing what we can do is we can apply the workpiece in the sense the raw material using which this particular article is going to be getting created. So for example, we have to do a core cavity extraction of this, right? So in core cavity extraction, we have to decide, okay, what should be the specific length and width of this particular core and cavity. So here what I'm doing is we have, you can see automatic bounding boxes getting created with a clearance of 25 mm on each side. Okay, so if I want to increase the clearance, we can definitely do that as well. Now what I want is in the negative direction, I want it to go by minus 26 mm. Okay, and in the positive direction, I want it to go by 66 mm. So here I'm deciding the height. In the negative direction, that is the core side, what should be the height, and in the positive direction, that is the cavity side, okay, what should be the height. So this is the cavity side here, and this is the core side here. So we have concepts like fixed half and moving half and all sort of informations which we can definitely define here. And as soon as I click OK, so the workpiece will be totally ready. And now we can continue with the extraction of core and cavity. So here we have the workpiece ready, which is very fast and very intuitive. And next, if I want to change the style of the workpiece, I want with, let's say, some sort of collars and other information, I can definitely add it up to this vertical workpiece as well. Okay, and then I can continue with the process of extracting the core and cavity. Now, in this particular model, extracting the core and cavity in the normal way, like in the normal way, in the sense, in the way which we normally do inside any software, like without having mold wizard in place. So it takes a lot of time in those areas. So what I can do is I can ask the software to calculate what software thinks that which all faces should go in the cavity side and which all faces should go in the core side. Now, once the calculation is done, I can definitely go to regions and I can see, okay, these are the regions which are identified by the software, and software is telling me, okay, this color regions over here, this particular color region, or let's say I'll just change the color so that we can recognize the color in an easier way. So let's say the red color regions, okay, are the cavity regions, okay, or let's say I want the blue color regions to be the cavity region. So I'll just apply the blue color to this. And I want the red color to be my core regions. Okay, so software is automatically identifying, okay, this blue color areas are a part of cavity and this red color areas are a part of core. Now, definitely there are some areas which are not, which are somewhere like software is not able to calculate. For example, this area, software is not able to calculate whether it will be a part of core or it will be a part of cavity. Why? Because the software is not understanding whether the appropriate draft is added or not. So before we continue with this option, I'll just cancel this option for now. So we have not identified anything as core and cavity. I would even like to show you certain different options which we have inside Mold. So initiating the mold wizard, like initiating the project. The first thing what we have to do is, as discussed, we have to define the material which is going to be used, the workpiece need to be defined, as well as the coordinate system and other basic information need to be defined. Now, before we start extraction of core and cavity and start the advanced part of creating the mold, we have to do some basic validation check on the mold, whether the product is able to be molded or not. So these are some basic or we can say some advanced validation check tools. For example, here we can go for mold design validation, and we can ask the software to tell us whether the quality of the part, like for example, check for undercuts, it will check for draft angle, and it will also check for draft angle with a certain value like 3 degree and all, and it can actually tell me whether the product is okay or not for this particular example. So I'll say execute the check, and now the software will actually tell me where, if there is any undercut, where exactly that undercut is going to come in this particular, if this is a draw direction of the product, so where the undercut is going to come. So we can see over here there is no undercut in the model, so the undercut area is totally checked box, so there is no undercut, so it is passed. But there are draft angles, there are some issues with draft angle. We can say there is no negative draft as such, but there is not even positive draft. So there are 447 faces which is not having a proper draft. So if I want to see exactly in detail which all faces don't have a proper draft, I can do that kind of thing over here. And I can even create a group of these faces, and I can apply a draft directly to this set of faces over here. So this is a benefit of executing a checkmate or executing the mold design validation before we actually start with a practical mold design, because it is very important to do validations, and this should be only done after defining the workpiece and after defining the proper coordinate system for this particular article, because based on the Z direction only, this everything is going to get calculated. So it's very important to do this part after defining the correct location for certain things, okay, not before that. Now, again, we also have different options like checking the core and cavity regions, which we can also do it from here. And we also have certain options like checking the wall thickness, whether the wall thickness is uniform, and if there is any, extra thickness given to the wall. So I can, let's say I want to check the wall thickness for this body. The body is just inside, so I just selected that body. Okay, so here we are doing a very basic check, so I'll just take it all the way to the left, and I can even decide a ray tracing method, or I can also go with the rolling ball method. So there are different methods which we generally explain when we start implementing the software at the client place. Now here I can see the wall thickness information has been shown, and if there is any area where the wall thickness is quite high, you can see this red color regions here. So that indicates the area where the wall thickness is quite high. And with the help of this graph, you can also understand what is the amount of actually wall thickness you are looking at. Okay. Now, if you want to even see where exactly, so for example, here in overall result, so in calculate thickness, I can decide where exactly the thickness should be and how much the thickness should be. And I can do this particular thing for various products. You know, for example, let's say I'll just calculating again for the inner part. So here I'm selecting again the inner body, and I'm doing the basic calculation for this again. So I'm asking the software to calculate the thickness. And then we have various inspect related tools in which we can actually see, for example, at this particular point, what is the wall thickness. So I can just go and hover the mouse in any area and I can actually check the wall thickness. Okay, so it will actually tell me what is the wall thickness of that area. And if I want to reduce the transparency, okay, I can reduce the transparency and I can do the basic check. So there are various options available over here using which I can actually understand, okay, what is the wall thickness and what is the range I'm looking at. So various things can be done over here, like you can do various kind of checks before we actually start the moldability. And one very important check what we can do is we can also do a basic flow analysis run. So if you are not understanding from where to put the gate and where to put where the runner should be installed and everything, you can do a very basic flow analysis over here. You can, and this is powered by Moldex 3D. So the best part about this is the results are quite accurate. It shows you the result for weld gaps or weld cracks, we can say, or hairline cracks if it is formed in this particular model, and also air traps, the areas where the air is getting trapped. Okay, if suppose you are using multi-gate setup, so you can also see weld lines, you can see air traps, and you can see various other informations which will result in failure of the mold. So basic information can be shown over here. Even it will show you the result for basic result. We cannot say 100% accurate result for the time taken for filling the mold and also the pressure, but it will show you the basic result for that as well. And especially if we are using the material provided by a standard supplier, then it will be very accurate in terms of that. So I'll continue with the process of extracting the core and cavity. Understanding the mold is the product is quite okay to continue with the core and cavity extraction. I'll just start calculating the product. So I calculated, I went back to regions, and I'll just keep the default color as it is. And now I can understand this particular part is basically the cavity part and this particular part is the core part. And also software is not able to understand 412 faces to like where exactly it will go, whether it will go in core or whether it will go in cavity. Now I don't have a time of actually going in each and every location and defining, okay, this particular face will go to core and this particular face will go to cavity. I want that process to be sort of automatic for me. Now what I can actually do is I can say I want to select all the faces, all the 412 faces, and I want, let's say, to be a part of core, for example. So I'll just say all the 412 faces are now a part of core. So you can see over here the core count basically will now start increasing. So right now we are having only 50 surfaces in core. So what will happen? It will increase the number of core surfaces to 462. So now here the number of core surfaces are increased. Okay, so we have lot many surfaces inside core now. Now similarly, let's say I don't want the side faces to be inside core. So I can just select cavity region here and I can decide, okay, I want this 4-5 objects, and this I can do a manual selection for this area. I want this particular area to be a part of cavity. So I just selected, okay, this many surfaces are now a part of cavity. So I just moved them to the cavity, and you can see the number of surfaces from the core has been moved into the cavity here. And we can decide that to any surface we want. For example, I want certain particular surfaces to be a part of core or certain particular surfaces to be a part of cavity. So all those things can be simply controlled over here. Now we can also look at certain things. For example, how many internal loops are there? So how many internal openings are there? So this particular model contains 114 internal openings, which is quite a good number. Okay, then there is a parting edge, and basically we can see there is a very clean parting edge over here. And is there any incomplete loop? So we don't have any incomplete loop, so basically we are good to go with this particular information here, and I can click OK. So here my regions are created. So I have now specified the software which are my core regions and which are my cavity regions, and it is quite very fast to define that particular area. Now I can tell the software to do a patching work for me. So basically I want, before we continue with the process of extracting the core and cavity, so I want this particular body should be patched. Okay, all that 114 loops which were open, okay, need to be properly patched. So here I can see there are various loops which are selected. Okay, in total 114 loops are selected, and in total 406 edges are selected as a part of that loop. So basically doing these selections manually will take a lot of time. And now I'll click OK, and now the software will actually do the patchwork for me. And you can see the patches getting generated live on your screen. Okay, so a lot of patches are getting generated, and basically this is the time consuming part of defining or creating any mold. Extracting the core and cavity of any article, it's a quite time consuming process. And apart from that, designing the ejection, designing the mold base and other things also is equally time consuming process. So it is quite fast and it is quite intuitive to do all those things in this wizard itself. So you'll just wait for this patching work to be done. Now, based on your PC configuration, this automatic patching can be even faster. Okay, and the best part about NX, it works with a very low configuration as well, and it works really nice with a very high configuration system. So you don't need to really worry about the configuration of your system. Okay, so all the patchwork has been done, so I don't need to do any patchwork manually from my side. So you can see all these deep patches and everything has been created properly. So normally in this kind of article, well, the article is very simple. We already know how the mold will be created, but it takes a lot of time in order to do the patchwork and everything. Okay, and all sort of information need to be defined in the beginning itself, like all the patchworks and everything need to be defined in the beginning. So while extracting the core and cavity, it should not take much time. Okay, so we can do the patchworks very easily over here. Once the patchwork is done, then we can say the software to define, okay, which are cavity regions and which are core regions. So I'll just ask the software to define, there are some of my cavity regions and some of my core regions. And then we can ask the software itself to create a parting surface for me. Now, in this case, the parting surface is going to be the easiest thing in this particular model, okay, because we don't have any profile shape in the bottom. So it's going to be the easiest thing for now. And then we can ask the software to create a core and cavity for me. So in the initial stage is basically very simple. Like we have to define whether the product is where the core surfaces are and where the cavity surfaces are. So we can see this is a form of cavity which has been formed. Okay, the cavity of the product which we are about to create. So all these surfaces and all these small features or details are added in the cavity. And similarly, this is going to be the core side of the product where all the small pins and everything is going to be added in the form of in the side of the core. Okay, so we can decide that very easily, and actually creating this kind of core and cavities are very simple over here. Now I'll just save the project for now, and we'll continue with the process of designing multi-cavity part. Now, I want this particular, before we start with the mold base initiation, I want this particular part to have multiple cavities. So right now it is only having a single cavity. So I want it to have multiple cavities. So I can simply go to, there are commands over here like view layout commands and other commands we have in order to actually create multiple cavities. And the best part, it actually create a balanced cavity automatically. Now what is balanced cavity is all about? It checks for the weight or the center of gravity of this part, okay, this particular core and cavity, and accordingly it aligns to the other part so that the entire mold base is properly balanced. So I'll say, okay, in this direction I want my core and cavity to be created. Okay, in this direction I want two cavities, and I don't want any gap as such. Okay, so I'll just keep the gap value as 0, or if you want a gap, I can say a gap of 10 mm need to be defined. And then what I can do is I can say, okay, start my core and cavity layouting part. So you can see there is a gap of 10, and you can see mold is automatically rotated by 180 degree in order to maintain the weight distribution of the entire mold. And I can also say, okay, I want it to be like automatically centered before we continue with the next process. Okay, so now the core and cavity, like multiple cavities has been assigned to this particular model, and you can anytime change the number of cavity count, and definitely even after creating the mold you can change, but only thing you have to redo is your runner and other basic information of this particular product. You have to redo that particular information if you change the information about the number of core and cavity specifically. And even the mold base size need to be modified, but the best part is ejector pins and other informations which are common for all the cavities need not to be modified again. For example, you have already defined one ejector pin here, so you don't have to define one more ejector pin on the other side. So it's really nice about this particular software in that area. Okay, now what else we can do here is we can simply, okay, so let's say I want to now continue with the creation. We can decide that first of all whether we need this particular cavities to be like separate cavities, or we can also decide whether we need this particular cavity to be a single workpiece. So what I'm doing is I want that particular cavities to be a single workpiece. So I'm just going for the layouting part again, and here I'm defining, let's say I want to combine both the workpiece together, and I'll just click OK for this particular combination. And then I'll go for merge cavities option. So I'll go for merge cavities. I'll say combine workpiece, subtract body with target, and I'll just select both the bodies here. I'll click OK in order to create a combined workpiece here. So what will happen now is both the core and both the cavity will get combined into a single plate. And if you don't want to do that, you can simply go ahead with the previous situation itself. And if you want to continue with this situation, you can do it like that, like this particular configuration, you can do that. So here we have the combined workpiece where we have the core region. You can see this is the core region, sorry, the cavity region, and we also have the core region. And because this is created in Mold-Wizard, it automatically a part of an assembly where all the files are separately saved and everything is properly defined. Okay, so I'm just activating the top model now, and you can see over here everything is properly defined. Now we can continue with the creation of the mold base. And if I before that, if I want to actually define the transparency to this particular part, so for example, I want to go into this combined area, and I want to define some sort of transparency to this part. So I can just select both the parts, and I can just define some sort of transparency because by default transparency is not assigned to those parts, and then I can come back again to this model. Okay, now basically my files are saved and everything is ready. So now we can continue with the process of creating Mold-Wizard inside NX, like basically the mold base inside NX. So when you go for mold base library, the best part about NX is it has already tied up with various companies, various suppliers of mold base. For example, here you can see the list of companies which are already in part of NX, you can say part of Siemens ecosystem. So here we have DME, DMS, Fatuba, ASCO, all these suppliers which we have, okay, LKM. Okay, so we have different mold bases available, and we also have a universal mold base. Basically you can decide your own configuration for that. I'll continue with the basic option, that is DME, and then we also have this different style. For example, here we have two plate configuration where we have one for core and one for cavity. Then we also have like a core backplate configuration where we have the backplate for core. Then we also have a steeper configuration where we have a core backplate as well as a steeper ejector plate. So you can do that, and we have various informations available here. So I'll just go for the basic one for this particular example, and I can click on apply. And what will happen now is the mold base will be automatically created for this particular product, and the basic size for the mold base will be automatically derived based on the size of the product. Now, right in front of you, the basic mold base is getting generated. And not only the basic mold base, basically it also has all the basic accessories like your screw push, your bushings, your guide pins, and other basic accessories we have over here. We also have all the guide pillars and everything. And we also have the respective set of nuts and bolts to hold the part together. Now, basically what we can see over here, we can see there is a length for this particular mold and there is a width of this particular mold. So if I want to change that, we can definitely change it from here. And this is the index using which we can control. We can control the sort of basic information. And if I want to rotate the mold base by 90 degree, we can definitely do that here. And we have basic information available here about the mold base at like what all each plate's basic initials are. So we can do all these modifications over here. For example, let's say here, I don't want my cavity plate and core plate to be this thick. So what I can do, I can simply change the value. For let's say for my cavity plate, I know the height of my cavities are 66 mm. So I want like cavity plate to have like 20 mm more than that so that I can insert some sort of bolts from the other side. And similarly, my core plate should have some basic height of, let's say it was around 26 mm. So I want it to be 56 mm. So I can decide that, I can click on apply, and the mold base will automatically reduce the height of the core plate and of the cavity plate as well in order to accommodate those informations. So now we have a basic height for core plate and the cavity plate. Now, apart from that, let's say I want the spacer or the side blocks to be of a bigger height. So I can decide that, and I can increase the height of this particular part as well. And if I want to change the height of this ejector plate and ejector back plate, all those informations I can define very simply over here. Like we also have the mold base width and mold base length. So this is 546 mm by 546 mm. So if you want to reduce or do some sort of modification in the length and width, you can do that. We also have the top plate configuration, and we also have the type of top plate. For example, don't want this kind of top plate. I want some extra part to come out from here for the clamping. So I can decide, okay, this is how I want the top plate and the bottom plate should look like. So all this information can be derived and it can be properly changed. And once we do the implementation of Mold Wizard, we also decide and we also explain how to do all this kind of changes in your workplace itself. So I'll just click OK for now to accept the default mold base. And it will now create a detailed model of each and every plates. And basically it will do it in a separate part file. Now, when we see the assembly tree, we have the mold base here, the DM026, that is a mold base. And if I expand this, it already had the configuration for moving half and the fixed half. And if I expand any of these, you can see all the plates like cavity plate, top plate, then all the accessories which are there a part of move fixed half, and all the accessories which are there a part of moving half. All the things are properly segregated. So we can do this in a very effective way. Now, let's say next thing what I want to decide now is, let's say I want to place some sort of screw bush and a locating ring here so that the mold injection can be defined. But before that, what I want to do is I want to bolt my cavity plate, okay, with the cavity over here, because I cannot just simply keep the cavity like this. So I need to bolt my cavity plate with the cavity. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to check the length of my cavity itself. So I'll just go for a simple measurement and I'll check the length of my cavity. So I want to check the length of this line. So this is 474 mm. So I just know the length of this line now. And similarly, I want to also check the length of this line. So this is 234 mm. So I just need to remember 474 and 234 before we start creating the process of creating uh, those bolts for the core and cavity. Now, what I can do is I also have standard part library in which I can decide what exactly I want to do. For example, if I want to do any sort of like injection related component, it can contain locating ring, it can contain screw bush and other information. Any ejection kind of component, that is screw bush, your ejector pin, your lifters, and all sort of information, the support pillars, screws. So let's say I want to go with screws first, and I want to set automatically some set of screws. So here I am deciding, okay, on which face I want to set those screws. Now, what should be the length? So here I'm going and defining, okay, the length of this thing will be 274 by 234. So let's say I just define the length and width. Okay, then I can also decide what is the plate thickness over here. So I know the plate thickness is 20 mm. So I'm deciding the plate thickness to be 20 mm. Side is going to be A, and I also want to define the size of the bolt. And this should be defined in the earlier stage, otherwise this will all get reset. So let's say here I'm defining I want a M8 bolt. Again, I'll define the plate thickness is 20 mm, the upper plate thickness. Then this is 274 and this is 234. So I'm just defining the random values here, and I want the spacing, the X and Y origin, this spacing of 12, 10, 12, 12 mm on both the sides. So I'll just keep it as it is for now. And I'll just click OK and check how exactly it's going to look like. So I can notice, you can see 8 bolt configurations are coming, and it is not specifically the way I wanted it to look like. Basically in the form of length, it is creating in this way, like the vertical way. I don't want that vertical configuration to be there. So I can just simply click on cancel. Okay, and again I can continue with this particular design. So let's say I want to continue with the same design, but I don't want this type of configuration. I want this kind of configuration. So I can decide that, and even I can decide, let's say I want 4, I want 6, other different configurations I can decide over here. So I'll just select this plate again. I'll just select the size. Let's say I want M8, and I want the plate thickness to be of 20 mm. The length is 274. Sorry, the length is I'll just check the length again. So I'll just go back, check the value for length and width again. So I'll go to analysis, I can go to measurement. And if I don't want to check it again and again, I can just save the analysis result as well. So once I check it, like let's say I know it's 474, I can click OK, and the analysis result will be there in the model tree. So anytime I want to come back and see the result, I can definitely do that because it will be there in the model tree. Only thing what I have to do is, if I want to save it, I just need to go to setting and add turn on associated, and it will be saved in the model tree so that later on again I can check. So this is 474, and 474 by 234. So that is the basic value. So again, I'll go back to my Mold Wizard application and I'll start designing the screw again. So here I want the pattern type to be 8B. I want it to be applied on this plate, and the size I want is of M10. And here I can decide, okay, I want 20 mm. This is 474, the length of the plate, and the width of the plate is 234. So I just define the length and width of the plate. And here I have already defined the values for X and Y. I'll just click OK. And now this looks correct for me. Like I want 8 bolts to be placed like this, and I can click OK for this so that all the bolts will be properly placed over here. And similarly can be done for the core side as well. So for the core side, what I can do is I can repeat the same procedure. Okay, I can, but this time I can select the face which is in the bottom. So I can select this face, and rather than like I'm using the same configuration 8B, I'm using the same size M10, using the different side over here, this time side B, and giving the different value. For example, here I want 20, here I want information like 474, same information over here, and 234, and every other information will be same. So I'll just click OK so that I can see the bolts getting created for the bottom plate as well. And after creating the bolt, let's say you want to offset to a certain value, you can also do that. Okay, so you can also do that as well. Now, the best part about Mold Wizard is whenever you create a bolt like this, for example, the bolts are added. If I open this plate and show it to you in a new window, so I'll open this particular plate in a window and I'll just show this particular plate to you so that you can get a basic idea. There is no bolt, there is no indication of any hole present over there. The best part about Mold Wizard is, like, whenever I create something like this, I have a command called pocket. Okay, so here I can search for pocket. Okay, so we have the command here. So I'll just click on pocket command here. So this is the basic pocket command. And then I can decide which all bodies to be subtracted. Let's say I want these two bodies to be subtracted, the top and bottom plate for now. And what all components to be selected. So I can just select one of the bolt and you can see all the remaining are getting selected. I can just click OK. And what will happen is it will automatically create the set of holes required for that particular bolt to be placed. For example, now if I open this particular part, same part in the new window, you can see all the holes are automatically ready. And the best part about this is if you move the location of the bolt and if you remove some number of bolts and if you add a new bolt, all this information will automatically affect the way the bolts are getting created. Now, I also want to create a pocket here, like few more pockets here. So I want to create a pocket between this and this part, which will have this particular component. So I'll just say solid. This two solids body will be there a part of the pocket. And I'll just click OK for that so that a pocket can be created properly here. And I need one more pocket basically after this pocket is ready. So the sequence in which you are creating the pocket is also very important. The first thing what I did is I created a pocket for my core and cavity block. Now what I'm doing is now again I'm going to create a pocket. Okay, for this component here, the part which is inside. So I'll say this part and this part. So this two component, and that will be pocketed with the help of these bolts. So I can just simply select components here and I can say this component and I click OK. So I can defining like all the pockets sequence and everything properly here so that all the bolts and everything will have a proper set of holes which is all required to place all the things correctly. Now what I'll do is just to show you guys, I'll just hide my mold base so that you can see my core and cavity and you can see basically how the pocket is created on the core and cavity. So I'll click OK for this. Yep. So here I can just go back to my mold wizard and I can just simply hide the mold base. I can also hide all the bolts and you can see there are bolts location over here which is going to have the tapping and all basic information, okay, about the hole which is already created. So you can again show the mold base and I can again show the bolts here and everything is properly segregated so that you can show hide other informations the way you want. Even we have a view manager, a view navigator. If I want to hide the fix half, if I want to show the fix half, all these informations can be basically hidden or unhidden directly from here itself. So you can do that. If you want to freeze certain things, you want to see a core cavity region or you don't want to see the core cavity region, you can decide that. And then again, you can, if you want to see the cooling part, if you don't want to see the cooling part, and all basic information can be decided. So I'll just open this part again. There are some small changes need to be done on this part, especially on this side. I just need to delete these two bodies because those are articles. So I'll just simply go to home area over here. I'll just go to more. I'll just select delete body. So I'll say delete body. Don't want these two bodies to be there. I'll just click OK for this and I'll close it. And it will be automatically added to this particular part. So I'll just save the file now. So basically you can see the mold base is ready and already the bolting and everything has been done. Now next thing what I have to decide is I want to create a screw bush and the locating ring for the injection part to be completed. Okay, and after the screw bush and locating ring is created successfully, I also want to create a runner and the gate, okay, in for that particular for the similar component itself. Now, what I can do in order to create those components is like, first of all, for screw push and locating ring, I don't need to see various informations. Like I don't have to see the lower part of the mold. So I can simply hide it if I want. For example, I can go back to my mold base, and here I can say I don't want to see the moving half. So I can just simply hide it. And I also don't want to see the bolts, and also that I can reduce the graphical weight on the screen. And now I can decide to actually create. So this is what you can see is your product. So this is your product. If you don't even want to see the product, you can simply hide the product as well. Okay, so if I select this, it's a part of my product over here. Now, what I can do is I can add a screw push here and the locating ring here. So I can simply go for adding the standard part. And I want to add injection related components. So I have injection over here selected, and I want to add a locating ring first. So I want to add a locating ring of size, locating ring which is of type M8, and which is having a dia of 100, a height of 12, and other basic information, where the F is basically the size of this hole, which is 36 mm. So I want to remember the size of that hole, and I can click OK to place the locating ring here. And it will automatically decide where the locating ring and all certain information need to be placed. And this is not very difficult for the software to decide automatically in the first place. So here the locating ring has been placed. So you can notice the locating ring has been placed over here. Now I can continue with the placement of my screw bush. So I have like two different types of screw bush, one bigger one smaller one. So I'll just go with the bigger one. And then I can say, okay, the dia should be 18 and I want the H should be 36, not 38, because if this is 38, then the problem is it will interfere with the locating ring. So I'll just say 36 for now and I'll click OK. Now the screw bush will be created. Now the basic part about screw bush is the length of the screw bush need to be defined properly. So for example, you can see the length is not enough. I want the length to come up to this origin over here, but the length is right now not enough for this particular screw bush. So what I can do is I can check the length. Okay, I can take some measurements over here. So I can go to analysis. I can do some measurements, let's say from the top of this surface. So I want to select the center point. I'll just select point and I have various snap options to choose from. So I'll select the center point of this particular model. And I want to take it to the origin. So I'll just go to the point dialog and take it to the origin. And here I can see the length of this particular, the distance between these 2 points are 129 mm. So what I can do is, if I want to modify any of my standard components, for example, I want to modify this, or if even the bolt, I can just simply select that component to be modified, and I can say I want to modify those components. So I'll just click on this option to modify, and I can simply do the modification. So it is 129 mm. So what I want to do here is, here we have the n, which is considering the length of this particular part. We also have k. So I'll just say over here 129 minus 18, which is the length of k part. So all this information can be defined here, and I can click OK. And basically, it's like giving all the information in an Excel file kind of thing. Okay, so automatically the length of the screw bush will be increased. So I'll just do it again. So here 129 minus 18. I'll press enter first to accept the value 111 and I'll click OK. So here you can see the length of that particular screw bush now is increased, and automatically the size of the screw bush and everything will automatically get modified. So if you want to see the section view, you can also see the section view here. So I can just go to view. I can activate section view here. So I can press Ctrl H to activate the section view. And I can see my section view present over here. So I can see how the screw push and locating ring has been properly placed. Now I also need to create a pocket to make sure the screw push and locating ring can be properly inserted. So what I can do is I can go to the pocket command here, and I can decide, okay, I want to subtract the pocket for these two components and also for the mold here inside. So I'll just go ahead and make sure my combined workpiece is active. The cavity is active at least. So I'll just select my cavity as well. So 3 components here selected, and I wanted to pocket by these 2 components here. So I'll just pocket it by these 2 components and I'll click OK. So we can say like basic part of the injection has been already completed. So this is the area from where the injection is going to come and going to go inside. And now I want to create a runner over here. Now to define the runner or to design the runner or to design the filling system, we can say we have an option over here called as design fill. Okay, so if I click on design fill, I have various type of runner to choose from. Like I can go for a very simple and basic runner like this, the layout like this, or if I have a 4 cavity article, I can go with this. I can also go with this for different types of, like this is for 8 cavity one. Okay, So again, a 8 cavity with different style of runner, 16 cavity, 6 cavity circular, and you can actually decide how many number of cavities you need. For example, here you can decide I want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. That can be decided. And we have a S-shaped runner here again. Then we have again a circular runner. We have the gate, different form of gates available here. Okay, so I can decide what type of gate I want to actually create or I want to actually use in this particular object. So for example, I'll start with the basic one. Let's say I want to create a very basic runner here. And what I want to do is I want a circular cross section or I want a parabolic cross section, and every other cross section is added here. So I'll just select I want a circular cross section. I want the diameter of my runner to be, let's say, 5 mm, and I want the length of the runner to be 40 mm, and I'll just see whether the 40 mm will be sufficient or not. So I'll just click in the location and I'll just place it on the origin. So I can notice, okay, 40 mm is not really sufficient. Okay, but any which ways, I'm also going to create a gate after this. So I'll just increase the length by 5 mm. So I'll say 45 mm. I want the length to be, or 50 mm for this example, I want the length to be. Now, after creating this particular length, I'll click OK. So I have the runner already ready. Now I want to design a gate. So I can just simply go for this example again. And I can select what type of gate I want to design. So let's say I want to design a gate like this. And here what I can do is for the placement, I can select this runner. And what will happen automatically on both the sides, the gate will automatically come. So you don't need to like define the gate in each and every location. It will be very much automatic in various areas. So you can see a gate is coming here and the gate is coming here, and I feel like the gate is looking correct for now. So I'll just continue with the default location and the default values for the gate, and I'll click OK. Again, we can define different cross section for the gate and everything. Now what I can do is, you can see the gate is looking correct here. So I can go back and I can activate my core and cavity. I can hide my mold base, even all the other filling related components. Okay, so now what I can do is, I want to actually create a pocket out of this over here. So I can simply go to pocket command again. Okay, I can say subtract from this and this, and what exactly I need to get subtracted with. So I want this component, and this component to be subtracted. So I just select all the three components and we'll just subtract it over there, so that our gate and other informations can be added to the model itself. Okay, so let's say basic information about the gate and everything is added. So what I'll do is I can hide, let's say I don't want to see my cavity. I don't only want to see my core, and I don't want to see my runner objects here. Like I don't want to see the actual objects. So I can just hide it, and you can see the runner is properly created with all proper gate informations and everything. So this can be also easily done. So you can notice how this mold is coming together. Okay, especially while creating this kind of in this kind of like even in a simple mode which takes at least 1 or 2 days to complete, even this kind of molds is coming together in a very faster and very effective way. So in the fixed half, I want to see my top plate. Okay, so everything is properly visible. So this is how I can decide how exactly the thing should look like. Now I can just hide everything and show everything. Now here I don't want to see my product. Okay, now I'll just save this file again. So that all the latest information can be saved. Now I want to continue with the process of designing my ejector pins. Okay, now ejector pin is something which is critical. Why? Because it need to be designed again with respect to different form of article and different size and shape of article. Now it becomes more challenging where the article has a profile on the top. Okay, so basically you have to make sure the ejector pin doesn't rotate and all information need to be provided properly. So what I'll do is I'll hide everything. I'll only show my product over here so that I can design my ejector pin as required. So here for designing ejector pin, we have an option called design ejector pin, which is a really nice option in order to design an ejector pin. And you can see it automatically segregate me the bottom view over here so that I can see the bottom view of the component. I can decide what material I want to use. I can decide what diameter I want to use. Like for example, I want to use a dia of 3. I can either continue with the catalog length, or even I can decide the head type. I want head like rounded head over here so that it can rotate, no problem with that. Or I can choose different form of head to lock the rotation of this particular ejector pin. Here what I'm going to do is in setting, I want new part. I want to use the recommended length. I don't want to use any symbols. Okay, and now I can specify the points where exactly I want my ejector pins to be located. So let's say I want one of my ejector pin to be located somewhere over here, and you can see there is a coordinate coming along with the mouse, so you can actually place it at a specific coordinate if you want. So I'll just place one of my ejector pin here. I want one of my ejector pin here, one of my ejector pin here. And if you're thinking about what about the other side, like other side we have to do it manually, so don't worry about that. You don't have to do it manually there. So I can just simply select which all locations I want my ejector pin to be placed. So I'm just specifying, okay, some locations which are quite near to this ribs area, which will be difficult to remove. So I'm just specifying the locations there, and I'm placing the ejector pins on those areas. So here I'm specifying the location of all the ejector pins I need. This can be done properly with the help of sketch also. Like you can create a sketch, or even we have an option called point dialog wherein we can define a proper coordinates for the ejector pin to be placed. And if you want to define some sort of distance from the product side and everything, you can define that distances as well. Now, the best part about this particular example is if I once after placing all the ejector pins, okay, I can click OK, and all the ejector pins will be properly placed. Not only for this cavity, but also for the other cavity as well. So all the ejector pins are getting added to the product. And because recommended length is activated, so what will happen is the software will automatically recommend a length so that it can test the surface properly. Okay, so after clicking OK, we can see there are a lot of ejector pins has been placed over here, and because of the recommended length, you can see it is not very huge, like sort of. I just need to trim some extra portion of the ejector pins, and in the areas I place the ejector pin on this area, and automatically it got placed in the respective area on the other side. So I just need to go to the option called trimming the mold components here. I just need to select what all components I want to trim. So I want to trim this all components here. So I can even create a box and select, no problem in that. So I have like 10 ejector pins to be selected. So I have just selected all the 10 ejector pins need to be trimmed, and I want to trim it up till the core side. So I can just simply click OK, and everything will be get trimmed up to the core side. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to see all of my things inside product. I don't want to see the product, but I want to see my ejector pins. So I'll just activate all of my ejector pins here. So all the ejector pins are active. Okay, and what I want to do here is now I want to create a pocket. Okay, I want to create a pocket right from this ejector plate up to here. So I can simply go to the pocket command here. Now, if I don't want to see certain components, like I don't want to see the fixed half, I can hide the fixed half. I can hide this particular part so that I don't need to see. I can only keep the areas which I actually wanted to see. Okay, so that the selection can be easier and faster. Okay, for example, I don't want to see all the components here. Okay, so now I can do a pocket. I can say I want to subtract it from this, and from this. And then I can select what all components I want to subtract. So I just create a box like this so that I can do a window selection of the objects which I want to really subtract. And then I can click OK. And don't worry about the count. If you're selecting some extra object, doesn't really matter. If it cannot be pocketed, it will not be pocketed. So don't worry about it. And when you're saying ejector pin, it will automatically have all the clearances, values, and every other information of the ejector pin, so that the ejector pin will be placed properly and it will look correct. And on the top, it will have a 0 clearance, and on the bottom over here, it will have some sort of clearances, okay, to be defined. So almost all the ejector pin holes are ready. So you can see how the ejector pin holes are looking. So between the product and between the article. So all the ejector pins holes are initiated. So I can just hide everything. I can show everything. I can hide my product. And I can again show all of my ejector pins. So I can select all of my ejector pins and show it. So this is how my ejector pin and all the basic information is going to look like. Now I'll just save this file. Now, just to give you an idea about what is getting created in the background, okay, what I'll do is I'll just close this file and reopen it so that you can understand what all things are getting created in the background. Now, software is doing the maximum work here. You're just defining the basic concept about where the ejector pin need to be placed and everything. So I'm just closing all the parts. I'm just making sure that I'm saving and closing all the parts. Now, if I want to open it again, I'll just click on open button over here. I can go to this product option, and you can see there are various things which are created over here. You can see various things. So it has top, it has all the plates and all the basic information which is required. So I'll just open the top over here. Yeah. So this is how the top is going to look like. So here we can see all the informations are properly loaded. Now, if I want to see a basic run through of how the mold is going to look while it is opening or closing, I have just hided the cavity plate so that we cannot see the cavity plate. So I'll just go back to mold wizard here. I'll expand this and I'll select, let's say, I want to do a pre-process motion of how the motion is going to look like. Now, similarly, if we want to design cooling and all, I'll just take you through a procedure of designing cooling as well. So I want a two-plate style of configuration I'm using. Okay. So I want the model to open by, let's say, 60 mm or let's say 80 mm. And I want the ejection distance to be of 30 mm. So I'm just deciding, okay, what values I need. Okay. And then what time the mold should start, what time the mold should stop, whether there should be any relative motion. So if you are defining any slider and everything, we can decide whether there should be any relative motion. I can just click OK. I can go back to the same option. I can click apply first so that all the components can be applied or loaded. Now the assembly is updated. I'll just go to the mount component area. So I can see there are certain components which will be there inside fixed half, which will be also there inside moving half, and other basic information. So here we have moving half, the bottom area is all moving half. Then we have the fixed half over here. Then we have ejection, that is the ejector plate and ejector pin. Then we have injection, lifters if any, steppers if any, and product if any. So here we have all the basic information, and I can click OK. Then what I can do is after doing this, I can run the analysis or run the simulation to understand how the mold is opening or how the mold is closing. So I have already highlighted my top plate here, the top cavity plate, so that we can see a basic information about how it's functioning. So I'll just say this is the value I need to look at, and you can see the opening and closing animation of the mold. So I'll just align it like this. So you can see the mold is opening and how much it will open. You can also notice that, and all the guide pins and support pillars are already there, and how the ejector pin will push and the product will follow. So you can define various information about how the things are going to work, and you can do a very complex study as well, because here we also have an option of defining the joints or the slides. Okay, so you can decide the lifter, define the joints, and user defined motion, and various other options can be defined. Not only that, in the standard part library option, we also have an option of defining all the relative component to mold. For example, screws, as I already told you, dowels, we have dowel pins. Okay, springs we have already created over here. We have guide pins. Okay, so we can actually place a guide pin with collar, with the pushing or without the pushing. We can decide that. We have locks. Okay, different form of locks we can select. So we have lockers over here. So we can see the various information is given for that locking part. Then we also have sliders. Okay, so if I want a sliding pin, so I can actually define a sliding pin and various other information. So let's say if I want to create some sort of sliders or lifters, so I can actually go for defining the slide. So in defining the slide, I can select what type of sliders need to be created and other basic information. So automatic recognition can be done. But because this particular part doesn't have any split over here, so I don't need to really define the slider or the lifter for this particular component. So you can actually select a generic lifter or a lifter on a lifter for a more complex lifter. So all those basic informations can be also defined. And apart from that, you can also create automatic drawings, assembly drawings. You can create automatic component drawings. You can create automatic hole tables in which all the information related to holes and everything will come up. And you can also define whole manufacturing table, auto dimensioning can be done, and all basic information like ejector pin table. And you can actually have an ejector pin information about that, like what is the length, what is the diameter of ejector pin, each ejector pin, so that it can be manufactured separately. So all this right from creating, like initiating the project, up to all the processes are there over here. Now, just to show you cooling, what I'll do is I'll open, or I'll select this particular part and I'll open it. I'll just do the cooling in this example. So let's say I have this particular component here. And what I want to do is I want to do some sort of cooling related information that need to be defined here. So I'll just make it transparent so that we can see this particular product. Okay, internals of this particular product. Now, let's say I want to run a single channel over here on the side and on the other side. Okay, so I want to run two channels, basically one for inlet, one for outlet, and one channel connecting the two channels over here. So what I'll do first is, I'll first start with the modeling environment here. After starting in the modeling environment, the first thing I want to do is I want to create my datum coordinate system so that I have a set of planes and every other information need to be like properly created. I want to create all the cooling system at a height of let's say 10 or 15. So I can decide at what height I want to create my cooling system, and I can click OK. Now what I can do is I can start my new sketch for defining the cooling system. Now again, cooling system contain a lot of information, like it contain baffles, it contain channels, it contain whether the water is going to flow and other informations about the cooling. So I'll just go to view. I don't want the emphasize sketch to be on so that I can see the clear information about what I'm creating and where I'm creating. So let's say I want one of my cooling lines should go from here. Okay, and I want to keep it horizontal for now. So I'm just keeping it horizontal for now. Okay, and I want a similar cooling line to be there on the other side, so I can just simply use the mirror tool in order to take it to the other side. And what you're looking at is the latest version of NX. So basically all this informations are there inside the latest version itself. So I want my cooling line to be looking like this, and I want some sort of cooling need to be created from this side as well. Like I want a baffle to be created from this side so that it cooling center over here on this location as well. And if I want to mirror it again, I can just simply mirror it. And if you want to define an internal connection here, let's say you want to create a hole here, which is internally connecting both the areas, so you can actually do that. Or otherwise, you can go for an external connection of a tube, which you required if you require that kind of a tube connection. So here I'm creating a line again and making sure the line need to be vertical. Okay, and then I can place it as the way I need. And later on also, this basic informations can be changed. Now I'll finish my sketch because the basic layout of my cooling has been derived. Now, the layout which I have defined for my cooling need to be moved up a little bit. So what I'll do is I can just simply modify my sketch. So I'll say edit with rollback. And I can say reattach. Basically, it got created in the default bottom plane. So I want to reattach it to a new plane. So I'll say invert or a new plane here. And in this new plane, I want to select the invert plane, and that is supposed to be this plane. And I'll click OK. So entire of my sketch will be moved up. So you don't have to resketch or do any information or need to re-specify the informations like that. And I'll go to Mold Wizard and I'll start my cooling tools. Now, first of all, we have something called as pattern channels, in which you can actually define which all curves are a part of channel. For example, this curve, this curve, this curve, this curve, and this curve over here is a part of my cooling channel. Okay, so I can decide that what should be the dia. Okay, now based on the right now I want a dia of M8, so I can just select M8 for now and I can click OK. So channels has been defined. Now later on what I can do is I also have an option of direct channel if I want to add some more channels. Then I can actually define the channels. So what are channels, what are baffles, and other informations can be defined. So I'm going for defining the channels now. So here I'm selecting, let's say I want to define this, this and this as my channel. Okay, and cooling type, let's say it is a water cooling channel. Let's say apply, and you can see the color changed, and here the baffle. So let's say this one and this one is my baffle. Even the vertical one can be a baffle. Okay, now what I want is, here I don't want this kind of flat end over here. I want the end to be like pointed, like kind of a drilled end. So I'll just select angle over here in extension, and I'll just select these two objects, and now I have a pointed end present on both the sides. Then I can also decide how the flow direction should be. So I can decide the inlet and outlet, the cooling circuit we can say in general. So we can decide, okay, this is from where the inlet is going to be proposed. So this is from where the flow is going to come in. Then it automatically skip this particular baffle because software already know it's a baffle, so it's not going to continue there. Then I want the flow to go in this direction. So automatic plugs will be assigned over here. Then I want my flow to go in this direction again. Again, the baffle is automatically created. And then we have the outlet sort of defined here. Yes. So I'll just say, I don't want to see any symbols and I want to create a fitting, and I'll click OK. So all my coolings and everything can be decided like this. The only critical area here is maintaining the distance from the product. That you have to do it manually because every product is different. Okay. And basically creating the basic sketch for cooling. that is the most complicated and most time consuming part, you can say. So all the connectors here will be automatically spaced. These are the plugs which are placed on the side, and these are the connectors you can see. So there is a connector here, okay, and there is a connector here for inlet and outlet, and you can even see a correct circuit diagram of cooling, how exactly it's going to look like. So all basic information can be provided for the cooling side as well. Okay, so I'll just close this file and I'll just save it so that this is updated here. So this is how we can actually create or generate molds inside this particular software. Now, before ending the session for the day, I want to give you general information about us, like what we normally do and like what companies we serve. So basically, we are established in year 2007. So we have our own tool room as well. We also do all sort of manufacturing of die and mold. So we are very much focused on this particular area. And basically, we have a very good team strength of all technical 16 members, which are highly skilled and highly motivated people. So, and basically, our vision here is to provide end-to-end solution for digital manufacturing, right from CAD, from CAM to all the post-processor need and everything to be provided from our end. That is what our initial, like, the goal is. Okay, and we have various corporate training partners across Mumbai. So we have conducted training for TCS, we have conducted training for L&T, we have conducted training for ICT and various other NMMS group, and various different partners we have inside this training environment as well. And in software sales business, we are already having 200 plus customers. Okay, and especially these are the like quite big names. We can say there are quite big customers we have. Okay, like we have Om Galaxy, we have Dynamic Mold, we have Kalyani Mold Base, and we have other groups of companies. Okay, we have Cello, Polyset. You can see these are all our customers which we have. So a lot of companies we have in our hand, and basically we are providing a good support and good resources to those companies based on their requirement and everything. And there are various companies even who are mold-based suppliers. There are companies who are into mold manufacturing. So 90% of the company comprises of the areas where they have mold related units and everything. So what we also do is there are areas where the companies which are already having this particular setup. We have already implemented Mold Wizard there. For example, Mad Mold is an example where we have already implemented this. And this is the contact information. So if you want to contact us anytime in the future, you can definitely contact us. And this particular seminar was conducted through in association with Tagma, you can say. So if you have any questions, so what I'll do is I'll give you the rights for unmuting the mic so that you can unmute the mic if you want. Okay, and if you have any questions, you can definitely go ahead and ask it. So I've unmuted. You can unmute yourself and you can ask your question.
What's the one thing you could library
Anyone have any question regarding this?
Grandmother's flaring. Love his creativity.
If you want, you can even write it on the chat box. And if you don't have any question, you can leave the meeting.
Don't play anything. One copy from another store outside.